Let me ask you something. If someone walked up to you today and quietly said, "You're about to fall for a scam," would you believe them? Probably not, because the first thought most people have is, "Not me. I'd never fall for something like that." And honestly, that reaction makes perfect sense. Most of us believe scams only work on people who aren't paying attention, or people who don't know any better. But the more I looked into real scam cases, the less that explanation made sense. Every person who had been scammed had once believed exactly the same thing. It won't happen to me. They weren't expecting to become victims. Because from their point of view, everything still felt completely normal. That's when I realized this wasn't just another scam story. It was a mystery. Not about money, not about technology, but about the human mind. And once I started looking at it that way, the entire case changed. Here's what didn't make sense to me. Scammers shouldn't be able to fool intelligent people, right? Doctors spend years making life-changing decisions. Engineers solve problems that most people never could. Business owners make difficult decisions every single day. These aren't careless people. So why did it keep happening? At first, I thought I was investigating scams. But after reading case after case, I realized I had been asking the wrong question. What if scams were never designed to beat your intelligence? What if they were designed to interrupt it? Suddenly, the victims made a lot more sense. Because scammers don't need to control your entire decision. They don't need to outsmart you. They only need a moment. One small moment where your brain stops analyzing and starts reacting. After that, I began noticing the same pattern. Again and again. Different victims, different stories, same moment. And the first pattern I found was time. Imagine you're in the middle of a completely ordinary day. You're working, having coffee, or just relaxing at home. Then, your phone lights up. Your bank account has been locked. Verify your identity immediately. Your heart beats a little faster. Without even realizing it, your hand reaches for the phone. You haven't stopped to think. You're already reacting. And that's exactly what the scammer wanted. Not your password, not your money, your attention. Because the moment you feel rushed, your brain quietly changes gears. The careful part of your mind steps aside, and the fast, automatic part takes over. Good decisions need time. Questions need time. Doubt needs time. But urgency steals all three. That's why scammers create fake deadlines. Act now. Your account will be closed. The deadline doesn't have to be real. It only has to feel real. That was the first pattern. Not hacking, not deception alone. Just pressure. And once I saw it, I started looking for the next pattern. The next pattern wasn't about time. It was about trust. Imagine your phone rings. A calm voice says, "Hello, I'm calling from your bank." They sound professional, patient, helpful. Nothing feels out of place. Because your brain has spent your entire life learning who to trust. Doctors, police officers, banks, experts. Most of the time, that instinct protects you. We simply can't verify everything ourselves, so we learn to trust people who have earned it. Scammers understand that. They don't build authority. They borrow it. A familiar name, a confident voice, a convincing story. Suddenly, their words don't feel suspicious.
They feel believable. The smarter you are, the more you've learned to respect real expertise. You're not trusting because you're gullible. You're trusting because that's how people successfully navigate everyday life. That's when the second pattern became clear. The scammer wasn't pretending to be trustworthy. They were borrowing trust that already existed. And once that trust was in place, the final pattern could begin.
The final pattern was the hardest to see. Because by now, the scammer had already done enough. Imagine you've trusted the caller. Maybe you shared a small piece of information. Maybe you approved a small payment. At the time, it all seemed reasonable. Then another request arrives. This time, something doesn't feel right. For the first time, a quiet voice inside your head asks, "What if this isn't real?" Walking away should be easy. But suddenly, it doesn't feel that simple anymore. Because now, it's no longer just about the decision. It's about admitting, I was wrong. And that's uncomfortable for every human being. Not because we're weak. Not because we're unintelligent. Because our minds naturally protect the story we believe about ourselves. So instead of accepting the mistake, we start looking for reasons to justify it. Maybe they're genuine. I've already come this far. One more step, and this will all be over. Do you see what happened? The scammer isn't doing the convincing anymore. Your own thoughts are. And that's what makes this final pattern the most dangerous of all. So, what was really happening all along? It was never about intelligence. It wasn't bad luck, and it wasn't a lack of common sense. The people who were scammed didn't suddenly stop thinking. Their thinking was quietly guided, one step at a time. First, they were rushed. Then, they trusted someone who seemed legitimate. And finally, their own mind made it difficult to turn back. 3 patterns, working together, one after another. That was the real scam. Not just stealing money, not just stealing information, but influencing how decisions are made before you even realize it. So the next time someone tells you to act immediately, pause. If someone claims to be from a trusted organization, verify it independently. And before you take the next step, ask yourself one simple question. If I were starting from 0 today, would I still make this decision? If the answer is no, you've just broken the trap. Case closed. But every case teaches us something new about how the mind works. And another mystery is already waiting.